Experiencing loss at a young age is often described as one of the most profound emotional challenges a person can face. The impact can shape perspective, resilience, and decision-making for years to come, especially for individuals raised within highly visible and demanding environments. In a separate but equally significant development, a major shift in responsibility occurred within the British monarchy following the passing of a long-reigning monarch on September 8, 2022, at Balmoral Castle. This event triggered a series of automatic transitions involving titles, roles, and the transfer of substantial assets. As a result, the heir to the throne at the time assumed a new title that carries not only ceremonial importance but also significant financial and administrative authority. This role includes control over the Duchy of Cornwall, one of the most valuable private estates in the world. The Duchy of Cornwall is a vast portfolio worth around $1.2 billion. It covers around 135,000 acres of land spanning several regions, including Cornwall, Devon, Herefordshire, and Somerset. The estate also includes nearly all of the Isles of Scilly, a substantial chunk of Dartmoor, historic farms, residential estates, and a variety of financial investments accumulated over generations. This estate dates back to 1337, when a monarch established it for his son, the first Duke of Cornwall. Since then, it has been passed down to the current monarch's eldest surviving son, who also serves as the heir to the throne. This transformation brought approximately 700 years of accumulated land assets and economic systems under new management. The duchy derives significant annual income from a variety of sources, including agricultural land, rental properties, tourist accommodations, and investment profits. In recent years, this income has amounted to tens of millions of dollars yearly. Although the duchy is technically exempt from certain taxes, the current holder has opted to make voluntary payments, demonstrating a contemporary attitude to public accountability. Control over such an inheritance entails more than just financial wealth. It has an impact on land usage, environmental management, tenant relationships, and long-term development strategies. This level of authority explains why decisions about staffing, associations, and operational organization are so important. Along with the duchy, there are privately owned royal properties with a different line of inheritance. These properties are neither crown estate or state-owned, rather, they are personal holdings passed down through generations. The most renowned examples are Sandringham House in Norfolk and Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Historically, these estates served as the monarch's private palaces and getaways. When the previous royal died, ownership of these properties passed directly to the new king as part of personal inheritance, rather than institutional succession. Sandringham, in particular, serves as a private country residence. Unlike formal royal palaces like Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle, which are owned by the Crown, Sandringham is still privately owned. It continues to be a location for the monarch and consort to relax, gather with relatives, and engage in private pastimes. The contrast between institutional assets and private property is critical to understanding the nature of royal wealth and authority. While certain holdings are handled on behalf of the country, others are controlled by individuals, resulting in a layered ownership arrangement that impacts decision-making at several levels. The overlapping systems of inheritance, authority, and responsibility demonstrate how power is dispersed within the monarchy. They also explain why changes in leadership, management style, and personal connections can have far-reaching consequences for both the public and private parts of royal life. It is a working estate that prioritizes conservation and management, with the goal of preserving the land and buildings for future generations. The estate has altered dramatically over 5 generations of British rulers. The second property is Balmoral Castle in the Scottish Highlands, which spans 53,680 acres of magnificent nature. Balmoral is privately owned and not one of the Crown's official homes. Prince Albert initially purchased it for Queen Victoria. Elizabeth II inherited Balmoral from her father, and when she died, it passed to King Charles III. Sandringham and Balmoral are the British royal family's 2 main estates. They are where kings die, families meet for Christmas, prime ministers come, and people deal with loss away from the spotlight. They are extremely important, both financially and symbolically. When Charles dies, his estates will pass to William. This is why what occurs on these properties while Charles is alive is critical. Camilla, Charles' wife and Queen consort, shares these houses. Her family has had access to, control over, and financial gain from these holdings. William, the future owner, is already establishing boundaries for what he plans to do. The Annabel Elliot affair. Camilla's sister was dismissed from the royal payroll. This event piqued the interest of the royal family. It highlighted to Camilla's family what happens when William takes over an estate and seeks to make changes. Queen Camilla's younger sister, Annabel Elliot, is 75 years old. She is a well-known interior designer whose distinctive style combines traditional English country house decor with modern livability. Annabel is more than simply a minor player. She is Camilla's closest family member and confidant, and the Queen greatly trusts her. After his marriage to Camilla in 2005, Prince Charles employed Annabel Elliot. Over the last 2 decades, she has received hundreds of thousands of pounds for her services on royal estates. Charles hired Camilla to design his properties when they were married, and she was paid a yearly fee for her work on the Duchess vacation homes in Cornwall, Wales, and the Isles of Scilly because of her contributions to the design of those estates. The Telegraph was informed by sources that Prince William would terminate her employment, despite the fact that this was not a reflection of the quality of her work. With regard to the management of the Duchess's rental properties, the yearly account revealed that she received a range of compensation, ranging from £19,625 to £82,272. Annabel Elliot was responsible for designing the interiors of the Duchess residences located all over England and Wales for close to 20 years. The royal collection includes some of the most lovely residences, and she gave her artistic touch to several of those houses. William eventually took over, and she was no longer in her position. Emmy Griffiths, an expert on the royal family, revealed that she had been working across sites that were owned by the Duchy of Cornwall, but ever since Prince William assumed the role of Duke of Cornwall, he has removed her from consideration for employment. It appears that this has produced some tremors in a couple of the headlines. The response was not merely a trivial matter despite appearances. Within the framework of the royal system, this decision has been construed as a definite indicator of the manner in which authority is implemented. Sources claim that the move is a reflection of an attempt to streamline operations, remove associations that are not necessary, and limit some expenditures that were previously a part of the management of the estate. During the same time period, fresh appointments to advisory positions were decided upon. These appointments included persons who had long-standing personal connections to the heir and his family. Considering these choices, it appears that he is making a conscious effort to construct a trusted inner circle that is in line with his own vision. Because of these efforts, the path that the shift will take became clear without the need for any official announcements to be implemented. It is crucial to take into consideration the historical backdrop that these judgments are based on in order to comprehend why they garner such a huge amount of interest from the public and the media. In the background, there is a complicated family history that was influenced by a marriage that received a lot of public attention and eventually ended in divorce. It was widely publicized and debated at the time that the future monarch was a witness to the emotional hardship that his mother was going through throughout his formative years. In the 1990s, the relationship between his parents and the involvement of another person became public knowledge, which contributed to a challenging time for the family. The children, who were still very young when they faced both personal sorrow and significant public attention following their mother's passing in 1997, were left with a lifelong emotional imprint as a result of these events. During the last years of the family's existence, efforts were spent to preserve the family's stability and unity. At the same time as he maintained a courteous public relationship with his stepmother, the heir took part in key family activities. As far as official settings are concerned, there has been no hint of any open disagreement. On the other hand, decisions taken in a professional or institutional position are differentiated from those made in the framework of personal acceptance within the context of a family. For instance, the Duchy of Cornwall functions more like a huge and intricate economic operation than it does as a completely familial milieu. To effectively manage it, strategic planning, financial supervision, and accountability are all necessary components. A more general shift in leadership style is reflected in the recent decisions that have been made within the Duchy on staffing and architecture. These acts are being attentively monitored because they offer a glimpse into the priorities and methods of governance that will be implemented in the future. It would appear that they are putting an emphasis on modernization, efficiency, and conformity with the expectations of the modern audience. These shifts are not necessarily directed at specific persons, rather, they are indicative of a movement from one management era to another phase of management. They exhibit independence and a desire to alter operational norms, which is a positive statement. On the other hand, these modifications may have practical repercussions for individuals who were previously related to the estate through professional or financial relationships. It is easier to understand the impact of these decisions when one considers the magnitude of the assets involved. The personal wealth of the late monarch is estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. This wealth is comprised of rare collections, investments, and privately owned estates such as Sandringham House and Balmoral Castle. These assets are not the same as those that are owned by the state because they were passed down through the generations of the family. The royal portfolio encompasses not only the royal family's own possessions but also a vast amount of land, property, and investment assets that are valued in the billions of dollars. The reigning king and the heir are the recipients of these resources as they are passed down through the generations according to the established customs. This results in the formation of a vast and varied financial framework that blends private ownership with public duties. As soon as the transition to a new reign takes place, it is anticipated that the future monarch will be responsible for managing a diverse range of assets. Private estates, financial support mechanisms for official tasks, and large-scale property portfolios administered on behalf of the Crown are all examples of these types of entities. The authority to make key decisions is required in order to exercise control over these resources. This authority includes the management of staff, the distribution of benefits, and the formulation of long-term strategies. Importantly, certain estates continue to be owned by private individuals rather than being under the administration of the government. Furthermore, this indicates that the monarch is personally responsible for making choices concerning their utilization, management, and personnel. These decisions have the potential to impact not only the operations within the estates but also the lives of individuals who are connected to them. During the same time period, the public's understanding of the magnitude of these holdings from a financial standpoint has led to an increase in expectations. The local communities have been prompted to engage in a discussion as a result of reports of large cash generated from the duchy. The discussion has focused specifically on the management of these resources and whether or not they provide sufficient value to those who live and work on the land. This brings to light an essential component of contemporary royal leadership, which is striking a balance between social obligation and financial prudence. The administration of historic estates is no longer seen as merely a matter of tradition, rather, it is also seen as a reflection of accountability to the communities and larger society that are tied to them. William is coming to terms with the fact that having such a large amount of land means he must deal with the relationships, tensions, and obligations that come along with it. This is a process that can be challenging at times. The delicate interaction that exists between Queen Camilla and her family is at the top of this list of relationships. There is power in Camilla's position right now, but there is uncertainty about the future. The position that Queen Camilla currently has within the British royal family is one of tremendous power. Buckingham Palace, Clarence House, Sandringham, and Balmoral are the residences that she calls home. In addition to her official responsibilities and public positions, she enjoys the unwavering support of her husband, the King. But according to the experts, her position might become less stable in the event that King Charles passes away. It is highly conceivable that she will succeed him as Queen Dowager if she lives forever. She has the potential to inherit a variety of assets and buildings that they jointly owned, such as Clarence House, which is estimated to be worth over $72 million, and Highgrove House, which is estimated to be worth approximately $39 million. Moreover, she would be provided with financial assistance in order to preserve her current way of living. Both Sandringham and Balmoral are considered to be personal properties of the king, which is an important fact to highlight. William, who will succeed Charles as king, will inherit these after Charles passes away. These estates would no longer be in Camilla's authority now. The decision that William makes will determine whether or not she is a guest. In recent times, Camilla has been making efforts to get herself ready for the future. In Wiltshire, she sold her own house, which she had owned before to her marriage to Charles. The property was called Ray Mill House. She considered gardening to be the most effective kind of rehabilitation in the entire world, and this setting served as her retreat. It's possible that she wants to devote more of her attention to her royal life with Charles, or that she has to re-evaluate her long-term property plans. Both of these possibilities are possible. It is difficult to predict what the future holds for her family, particularly for her sister, Annabel Elliot. However, Buckingham Palace has indicated that Annabel would continue to have some role with the household whenever it is possible, despite the fact that she has lost her income from the duchy. The Sandringham estate in Norfolk, which is owned by the king, is where she is reportedly working. This means that she continues to have some sort of tie to the royal family through Charles. Nevertheless, once William is crowned king, her bond will be contingent on his willingness to be kind. William has already demonstrated, through his management of the duchy, the priorities that he finds most important. This is what all of this entails, including power, legacy, and the future of the monarchy. To what extent does all of this have an impact on the royal family, Camilla, and the monarchy that William may one day have the opportunity to lead? I would want to begin by elaborating on the significance of William's stewardship of the Duchy of Cornwall. This narrative has been misconstrued by a great number of people. Camilla is not the primary focus of this conflict between the two of them. What this demonstrates is that William desires for his future reign to be distinct from that of his father. Over the course of his 40 years as Duke of Cornwall, King Charles established a number of ties and financial arrangements that will not simply be passed down to subsequent generations. William is getting himself ready to become king with each and every decision that he makes regarding the duchy. He is gaining the knowledge necessary to manage enormous assets and companies that are difficult. This individual is gaining a grasp of the distinction between responsibility and civility. Additionally, he learns, just like every other monarch before him, that the crown must place a higher priority on effective management above feelings. When compared to an inheritance worth £1.2 billion, the choice to remove Annabel Elliot is a rather modest one from a financial standpoint. The annual payments range from £19,000 to £82,000, which is a relatively tiny amount. The ruling, on the other hand, holds significant symbolic weight. The fact that they are unable to take their position for granted is communicated to Camilla's family by this. This demonstrates to the royal household that William is capable of making his own choices. Not with large ceremonies, but with serious assessments of the duchy's finances, it conveys to the public that the shift from Charles' reign to William's has quietly begun. This is not the case with respect to the festivities. In the meantime, the question of who will eventually control Sandringham and Balmoral is a significant one. At some point in the future, these properties will be received by William and subsequently by George. There will be no break in the royal ownership line, which will continue from Queen Victoria to Charles III. It is up to each new owner to decide how those estates will appear, who will be allowed to visit, and what kind of legacy they wish to leave behind. Royal wills are kept confidential. Neither the Queen's own fortune nor the manner in which it is distributed among her family members will be disclosed to us. Nevertheless, we can gain knowledge from public decisions, such as the Duchy's financial reports and changes in management and administration. A fundamental aspect of the British monarchy is the concept of inheritance. Things that are handed down from one generation to the next, along with the obligations that come along with them, are the focus of this discussion. William is more attuned to this than the majority of people. Being raised in its vicinity, he was able to observe its difficulties. Today, he is able to mold it on his own. All of the estates are his property. He is the one who will make the decisions. Both for the better and for the worse, the legacy will be his. The influence of William's attitude is already being felt by Camilla's family, who have benefited much from the generosity of King Charles. In this change, there is neither tension nor drama to be found. In addition to the hiring of personnel whom William has faith in, it is sent through a payroll report that is sloppy. It has always been the case that power within the royal family has quietly delivered its message. Currently, it is making things really plain to the audience. It may appear that this scenario is about payroll and contracts, but the truth is that it goes far deeper than that. It is a reflection of the transition of power as well as the differences between the king who is currently in control and the king who will succeed him. It begs the question of whether or not those individuals who have established their careers around King Charles will have a place in the future that William is meticulously crafting. Do you have any thoughts? Do you think it is appropriate for William to begin anew with his own trusted advisors? Alternatively, does this send a negative message at a time when the royal family is in need of support from the general public? In the comment section, please share your ideas. I value the informative conversations that are taking on here. Please give this video a like if it was helpful in gaining a better understanding of the royal family. This will allow other people to discover this channel. Share this with anyone who is interested in the royal family, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. From now until the next time, I will continue to pay strict attention, and I will see you in the next video.